Why the Nordy Pod is on brand for Nordstrom. Started in early 2022, the Nordy Pod is now 20 plus episodes deep and creating widespread buzz among marketers. Having a branded podcast is totally on brand for Nordstrom. A perfect fit. Here's why. The Nordstrom brand name is synonymous with service. Rather than simply state this, which could be received cynically as just another commercial, the podcast tells stories that demonstrate why Nordstrom has earned this reputation. Respected brands like Nordstrom are transparent. Like the popular Inside Trader Joe's podcast, the Nordy Pod takes listeners on an authentic journey inside the company. For example, a recent episode details an investigation prompted by this question from a customer. Why do Nordstrom stores smell so great? And is it something intentional? And would you consider selling the fragrance? The host, Pete, humbly admits he doesn't know the answers and sets out to learn. The people of Nordstrom are its strongest asset. Who better to further your appreciation for the staff than a likable brand representative as its podcast host, especially the president and chief brand officer? Pete is none other than Peter Nordstrom, the great-great-grandson of the store's founder. Throughout every episode, Pete is humble, with an endearing, "Aw shucks, I'm not a pro at this" manner. On the contrary, however, Pete is very capable, putting guests at ease and finding ways to tie the stories of athletes and celebrities to Nordstrom culture in a way that seems totally natural. You enjoy spending time with him on the podcast, just as you would enjoy being with the staff at your local Nordstrom store. The podcast lifts the brand, not just among customers. The best branded podcasts improve a brand's reputation among staff, too. The podcast expounds on Nordstrom's dedication to customers while also highlighting their internal culture in a very familial fashion. Pete preaches his family's values and customer-first ethics without ever preaching. Like the brand, the podcast is smart and fun. The Nordy Pod features interesting interviews, excellent writing, and, above all, entertaining storytelling. Here's an example, the legendary tire story. It goes something like this. A customer in Alaska returned a set of tires for a refund. Remember packing up the family to get a new set of tires at your local Nordstrom? Of course you don't. Nordstrom has never sold tires. But the business that previously occupied the Nordstrom's store space in Alaska did. You guessed it, the customer got his refund. No questions asked. The podcast understands its audience. You don't need a high IQ to shop at Nordstrom, but their customers are smart enough to know that value and cheap aren't the same. Nordstrom is a conscious, considered choice of intelligent people, as is listening to this podcast. Great stories spark word of mouth. Now that you know about that legendary tire story, or maybe you actually heard it in the Nordy Pod, chances are good that you'll repeat it. I mean, we did. The podcast educates and informs. The Nordy Pod features thought leadership from other brands too, like Allbirds, Estee Lauder, and Levi Strauss, to name a few. Marketers have long studied Nordstrom. Now, Nordstrom is pointing out other brands that are worthy of attention too. Inclusivity. In a recent article about retail brands creating their own podcasts, Nordstrom suggests that the Nordy Pod provides an opportunity to tell their story in different ways, through conversations with customers, employees, fans of the brand, and brand partners. Many voices contribute to Nordstrom's overall brand identity and success. Including these voices in the storytelling is evidence of their value. Quality. Like the merchandise that Nordstrom sells, this podcast is built of good materials by skilled people. It sounds like, well, Nordstrom. But the biggest reason that the Nordy Pod is on brand for Nordstrom? Branded podcasts are a service to customers. There's that word again. The Nordy Pod is offered free of charge, free of commercials, full of good content. It's yet another gesture of generosity from a brand with an unparalleled reputation for being kind to customers. No two brands are alike. Therefore, no two branded podcasts should sound alike. We respect the Nordy Pod, an excellent audio manifestation of the highly respected Nordstrom brand.